to start a new question, and the person who's going to start us for that question is Karen. Candidates, this budget process saw a large portion of discussion time devoted to gambling. Where do you stand on the issue of gambling, and what measures would you support or resist pertaining to gambling?
This is my favorite question. Everybody asks me this question, and I have the same answer. We do not have a revenue problem in this state. We have a spending problem. Gambling is simply a quick fix that people are looking for because we are intimidated into the fact that we have a revenue problem. I would not be in favor of doing gambling, and I would veto a bill that came across my desk if it was to solve a revenue problem. After we solve our spending problem, if we want to look at gambling and assess whether this would be a good thing for New Hampshire, then I would talk about it. But the reality is that going after these quick fixes so many times, we end up with unintended consequences that we do not need to impose upon our families in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And Frank, same question to you.
Thank you. I am for gaming. I did House Bill 593 last year. It was given to me by a former member of the House and a state senator and a businessman. The governor said he would not sign gay marriage, he would not raise taxes, he was bringing jobs, he would not vote for gaming, but now he wants Racino. So my position with the gaming is this. House Bill 593 would have put a resort convention center, convention center in Hudson, New Hampshire, but also did something up in the North Country. I was not for the Racinos. I spoke to Millennium, and I said to him, I understand you're a multi-millionaire, but I don't think your Racinos will work. But if you want to put $2 million in the state of New Hampshire, create jobs, and if that doesn't work, we get the building too. That's not a bad deal. But, again, it's your New Hampshire House and Senate. The representatives here will tell you how many people will sell their soul for a lousy sandwich, and that's what you need to know. House Bill 593 was a good bill. We had expert testimony. It was slid down because they wanted someone else to do the bill, a state senator, and they wanted to play with it. And they want sales and income tax, I'll say that again. For the $100 a year, I'm in the fight. I know what goes on. And with that said, we would have put 6,500 people to work in this state. We would have got $300 million of somebody else's money for licensing. We would have had a nice resort, golf course in Hudson with 1% that would have went to the communities that support any kind of facility. And also, so you know, we already have gaming. It's already here. And it's not just your tickets. You have card parlors in 3-4 different communities. The prostitution and the drugs, it's over down in the lakes on the Hampton Beach. They move in June and they move out in October. My time is up. My days is long.
Thank you, Frank. And Jack, same question.
I've lived here 40 years, folks. This question's been asked many times before I even decided to do this. I've always been against casino and expanded gaming, but here's why. I'm a small government guy, Reagan conservative. I believe in small government, lower taxes, reduce spending, and family values. It's contrary to everything I believe in, and here's why. Every dime of revenue that is going to be garnered from casino gambling is going to do what? Expand the size of government in the state of New Hampshire. That's what it's going to do. Along with that, it's going to bring a lot of things that we don't want here. Most of the folks I see shouldn't be gambling anyway. And if they want to get on a bus and go to Connecticut, they can do that. I mean, that argument doesn't hold any water with me because that argument says, well, I guess none of us in New Hampshire should vacation outside our borders. So as far as I'm concerned, anything that expands the size and scope of government and brings the graph that this would bring is something I don't want to see in my state. You're going to have gambling addictions, you're going to have suicides, you're going to have depression, you're going to have all kinds of issues. Prostitution does exist in the state. It exists in every state. But it'd be through the roof if you bring that here. Listen, All the years I've lived here, we have had a relatively low unemployment rate. Just if you remember, 2 years ago, it was in the area of 3%, 3.5%. Folks, that's as close to 100% employment as you can get. Again, the solution to the problem isn't to increase the size of government, it's to provide the environment in which small businesses can thrive. And they will hire all the folks that need to be hired all throughout the state.
Thank you, Jack. And John?
Thank you. The gambling discussion, if you listen closely in the last budget debate, is all about keeping government growing at the same pace. I am not supportive of gambling as a fix to a budget deficit, as to a way to get more revenue into the state government. I want to cut spending. I want to focus on what Karen had said. We have a problem here in our state, and it's all about spending. So if we focus our energy on spending and find the reductions, because we will, our state is great, and we have some great people, and we're going to solve this problem. And we're going to do it with cutting spending. And we're also going to cut taxes on our employer community, working together. I'm the only one up here that actually was involved in prosecutions of video poker. I know that this community is something you have to be very careful about, and if you're going to go down that road, you got to make sure you have the regulatory framework in place that is not going to compromise our great New Hampshire advantage and our quality. And my point here is, before we even discuss that issue, and I am open to discussing it after we have a balanced budget, after we restore our rainy day fund, and then I want to have a lot of ideas that we can talk about, that we can say, in the future, we're going to continue to look at making sure our government is trimmed, limited, and we have restoring personal freedom to the people of this great state. And when we focus on the revenues, we take our eye off the ball. And that's where I stand on this issue.
Thank you, John.